The COVID-19 crisis has shown us that our old systems are not fit anymore for the 21st century.
The technocrats are the ones that stand behind the pseudoscience of the modern world, which has to do with climate change and now with the pandemic. These people are the ones that are in control right now, the scientists and engineers that are promoting technocracy. We see it in the Great Reset, the World Economic Forum, Klaus Schwab.
The COVID-19 crisis has shown us that our old systems are not fit anymore for the 21st century. It has laid bare the fundamental lack of social cohesion, fairness, inclusion, and equality. Now is the historical moment, the time, not only to fight the real virus, but to shape the system for the need for the post-corona era. We have a choice to remain passive, which would lead to the amplification of many of the trends we see today. Polarization, nationalism, racism, and ultimately increased social unrest and conflicts. But we have another choice. We can build a new social contract, particularly integrating the next generation. We can change our behavior to be in harmony with nature again. And we can make sure that the technologies of the fourth industrial revolution are best utilized to provide us with better lives. In short, we need a great reset.
And you think I'm just imagining this stuff? Crazy old Rowan with his conspiracy theories? Think again.
We have to prepare for a more angry world, and how to prepare? It means to take the necessary action. What we want to do in Davos this year in this respect is to push the reset button.
The World Economic Forum is this fancy group of billionaires who all get together every year in Davos, Switzerland, where they plan out the global economy for us peons.
It's the final day of the World Economic Forum in Davos.
So for those of you that don't know, Davos is a small town in Switzerland where the elite meet every single year to discuss global issues.
So the Great Reset is an initiative by the World Economic Forum to basically take advantage of the pandemic to reshape the entire world economy.
So you engineer a crisis, in this case a global health pandemic, a scenario we have seen wargamed in documents such as the 2010 Rockefeller Lockstep document and Event 201, the tabletop exercise and simulation of a global coronavirus pandemic. That was sponsored by the World Economic Forum, Johns Hopkins, and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, which took place last October. This crisis, which I believe to be engineered, produces a desired response, a controlled demolition of the global economy, wiping out the middle class, creating more dependency upon the government in the form of stimulus money and bailouts, which essentially equate to ownership. We experienced the authoritarian lockdowns, which was the conclusion of the Rockefeller Lockstep document on how to mitigate this crisis. Now, we are also witnessing massive civil unrest under the guise of seeking social justice and ending inequalities and systemic racism, as they call it, when in reality, these riots are nothing more than an organized destabilization operation.
They announced their Great Reset plan publicly back in June. They made a microsite for it.
But there are all sorts of topics covered, anything from something as simple as drones. You can see the drones here. Justice and law is another topic. Also AI and robotics.
They also made a portal page in their agenda section to support the reset entitled, "To Build Back Better, we must reinvent capitalism. Here's how." Always love it when people say that, "here's how," right? Anyway, after they announced it, The Hill put out the story, "Introducing the Great Reset, World Leaders' Radical Plan to Transform the Economy." Time magazine made a whole digital section called The Great Reset. They also made a cover for their November 2nd issue depicting the world under scaffolding with the headline, "The Great Reset." Joe Biden actually adopted the Reset's tagline, "Build Back Better," as his campaign slogan. It was written clearly across any podium he stood at during the election. And Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau referred to the plan in an address from the UN.
This pandemic has provided an opportunity for a reset. Building back better means getting support to the most vulnerable while maintaining our momentum on reaching the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and the SDGs.
Tujuan untuk mengubah Indonesia yang lebih baik. Mari kita bangun Indonesia bersama-sama.
According to the World Economic Forum website, the Great Reset agenda would have three main components. The first would steer markets towards fairer outcomes, aka wealth redistribution through taxation and regulation. The second component of the Great Reset agenda would ensure that investments advance shared goals, such as equality and sustainability, aka there will be global standards regulated by task forces to control every aspect of your life through regulation and ensure compliance to the 2030 Agenda. The third and final priority of the Great Reset agenda is to harness the innovations of the Fourth Industrial Revolution to support the public good, especially by addressing health and social challenges, aka this is the transhumanist agenda to merge man with machine and enforce compliance with global governance initiatives laid out by the UN's 2030 Agenda.
However, it would be wise if countries would spend on rebuilding the economy and investing in new technologies to stimulate the fourth industrial revolution, investing in a better future. Long-term investments are needed from companies too, and it requires leadership and guts, as there will be many temptations to focus on the short term. Our longer-term economic strategy should remain anchored in addressing the Sustainable Development Goals. Oh, that's Agenda 21.
I'm Rosa Corey, and I'm from the United States, California. And my topic, what I speak about, is one of the most vitally important issues of our age, and that is United Nations Agenda 21, Sustainable Development. And as I'll be talking about tomorrow, it is the inventory and control plan. Inventory and control of all land, all water, all minerals, all plants, all animals, all construction, all means of production, all food, all energy, all information, and all human beings in the world. And this is a plan that was agreed to by 179 nations back in 1992. It's a United Nations plan. It's called the Agenda for the 21st Century. And so many of us around the world think that, sustainable development, it just sounds so great. Isn't it about recycling and creative reuse and creating energy and food resources for everyone? And the answer is no, it really is not. It's about moving populations into city centers, concentrated city centers, and clearing them out of the rural areas.
Now, the Great Reset is not a new idea that they just made up over the weekend, okay? This is a long-standing global governance agenda which ties into the United Nations 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, which seeks to regulate, control, and redefine all aspects of life as we know it. And in June of last year, the United Nations and the World Economic Forum formed a strategic partnership to accelerate the implementation of the UN 2030 Agenda.
Because from looking at the partnership list and the investor list, it does tend to look as though this is the 0.1% of the world's elite who is in attendance at Davos. So who pays for Davos? Well, according to the website, this is the world's most significant business entities who foot the bill. The forum offers different levels of membership and partnership. Now look at these fees. The membership fees range from 60,000 to 600,000. So let's just convert this in Swiss francs. That's 65,500 US dollars to 657,500 US dollars. So I don't know about you, but that doesn't sound as though that would just be the average person in attendance. But let's look at the partnership list then here. We have everyone from MasterCard to Microsoft. These are some big companies that you will know straight away. We also have in attendance some more controversial organizations such as the Soros Fund Management. So this is George Soros' company. BP, British Petroleum, is another one. We also have Bayer in attendance. So BP is an energy company. Bayer, of course, International Chemicals, they purchase Monsanto. So the next question is, who are the people involved in this initiative? So let's take a look at a few most famous, well-known ones now then.